Alright, this is exactly how you want to start your morning, right? A jump start and a banana and a coffee from the 7-Eleven. Yeah, life is good. So what I mean, literally, this is the size of a banana. I just happened to put it there for reference, right? This is a little lithium ion pack, lithium ion, I should say, that is made to jumpstart your car. That seems completely ridiculous, but this is actually the second one I've got. Here's the first one that was dead. There's the other thing. If you got one, you got to make sure it's charged. Okay, so the idea is it's about $50 at Walmart. This is the Walmart brand, I'm pretty sure. It's got enough power to recharge your battery enough to start in your car. It doesn't directly jumpstart you in that traditional sense, but it does have enough power to put power back into your battery to then start your car. And it works really well. It just took it a little while, but I was down to about 9 volts this morning. It was like, oops. Yeah, so last night I had my phone charger, was charging my laptop over there. The Chromebook can recharge off of a USB-C connector, the same as my phone. So I'm just sitting here enjoying the sunset, falling asleep. I look down, it's like, oh yeah, my laptop's just about dead. So I plugged it in, didn't think anything of it, forgot about it, went to bed last night. Laptop is fully charged, truck is fully dead. Oops. Okay, I'm not going to do a full-on unboxing because I've already used it, but this is what this one looks like. This is the current one at Walmart. It was less than 50, just a little bit less than 50, okay? And it's small. So the idea is it comes with, and these are kind of cute. That's the cables. It's got an intelligent controller in it, so that if you get the cables plugged in backwards or something, it won't let you, it'll beep and make all kinds of noise. So when this is plugged in, there's a little light that'll come on here, red or green, depending on what's going on. In my case this morning, the battery was very low, and this thing will disengage if it pulls too much load, but it'll automatically reset. So the trick is, don't hook it up and just go right for a start, because it's not going to work. What it'll do though, hook it up, wait a minute or so, or read the instructions, because they kind of explain it to you. But what this is doing is this is going to transfer power from that pack into your battery, so give it some time to recharge. And then try to start. If it doesn't start, shut the key off again, wait for another minute, let this thing keep putting power into your battery. And I've used these a couple of times and they do work. Obviously this morning, but I had used it once before. The other one, I've got a couple of them laying around somewhere. I don't know where the other one is, but I thought I had at least 2 of them before. But it's enough to bring your battery up to a level, your main starting battery, to when then you can start. So kind of cool. Okay, that's horrible lighting, but you get the idea. It's still me. So yeah, I've got the truck running. I'm at the Planet Fitness, took a shower this morning, shaved. I'm getting spoiled. I've been using an electric razor for a 3 years now, since I moved out to the ranch, just because you don't want to shave with cold water, and then you need a sink and everything. So I just started using a cordless rechargeable electric, knocked down the stubble a little bit, good enough. I don't really care too much. But I started like, well, if I'm taking a shower here, I do have shaving cream somewhere, so I dug around and found it. When was the last Jurassic Park movie? My shaving cream still says Jurassic Park on it, so that's been a while. Haven't used it for a while, but yeah, I'm like, okay, take a shower, hot water, shave, brush your teeth in the sink, get civilized just a little bit. So in a lot of ways, living in the truck is better than living out on the ranch still. Go figure. Anyway, so you get yourself one of these, right? This is pretty handy. Now it also has some other tricks, so it's not just for starting your car, but obviously that's the important part. This one says it's got a lithium polymer, sorry I said lithium ion before, so lithium polymer, 12,000 milliamp 14.4 watt hours. That's actually quite a bit. It's rated for 600 amps peak and 300 amps cranking. That's actually pretty good. But it's got USB output, so you could use it to charge your phone with, which is kind of nice. It also, this one can do 12 volt output at 12 volts, 16 volts, or 19 volts, which would probably work with your laptop. And this one came with an output cable with all of those little ends that you could hook it up to your laptop or your other devices, which is kind of cool. All right. And it can be recharged off the cigarette lighter. This is the important thing for me, is I've got both of these plugged into the cigarette lighter now that the truck is running. Let it recharge. This one's got a digital output, or a digital readout. It shows 99 right now. The older one has just a bunch of LEDs that come on when it's recharged. It was down to dead. That was the second thing I looked at this morning, and when I realized what was happening, I'm like, oh, quick, unplug everything, look in the back. Yep, there it is. Yep, it's dead. Okay, walk across the parking lot, go to the Walmart, go ahead and buy one. Tomorrow's payday. I knew I had a little bit of money left, so yeah. You always got to keep that last $100 in your bank account if you can. That's handy. But this solves the problem of, I have jumper cables. I have a jack, I have a lot of tools, but you stand in a parking lot with jumper cables and people think you have leprosy. It's hard to find somebody that can help you anymore, or that will help you. I mean, I give jump starts 2 or 3 times a year to people, because I've got the jumper cables. But just having jumper cables isn't very useful sometimes, because people are in a hurry, or they don't speak English, or they don't want to help you because it might blow up their car. They don't understand. Okay, I understand, And I did have roadside assistance, so I probably could have called them. All right. In town, they would probably get there within an hour. That would be okay. And this morning I had time. I don't have to be to work for another 4 hours still, so that's not a big deal. But yeah, having something like this lets you give yourself a jump start, is the idea. All right. Now, moving forward, I am working on, I've got some battery packs that I can run some of my accessories from. Ironically, this week I didn't remember to bring the cable with me that would charge my laptop. I had the cable that would charge something else, I think. So I've been building battery bricks, and I've got something this will plug into. This puts out 12 volts. This is actually quite a bit of power. I'm going to do a video about these later. This is kind of a cool project. So I've got a couple of these. That one is probably close to the capacity of this one, all right? But I made it myself. And I've got switches and wires and stuff here. I can run several accessories from that without going to the big deep cycle batteries that I haven't yet put in the truck, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at, is do I even need the big deep cycle batteries in the truck? If I just needed to run my little laptop and my phone, this is enough. Okay. And this, I have it wired so I can recharge it from the truck when the truck is running, and then run the accessories from this. Okay. There was an irony to that, because this almost probably could have done the same thing to restart the truck. There's a solenoid between my auxiliary system and the truck battery. The solenoid needs about 10 or 11 volts to click before it'll bridge the two systems. I couldn't get it to click from these batteries. It needed battery on the front. So the battery was too dead to open up the solenoid that would have let the power come in to recharge the battery. Yeah, that hadn't occurred to me when I wired it that way. Oops. Might have to revisit that too. Anyway, yeah, just a thought. If you've ever been there, this is like having a gas can. It's only useful if you've got the gas can, if it's got gas in it, if you run out of gas. I used to always have a 5-gallon gas can in the back of my car, and it would be full. So if I did run out of gas, I had 5 gallons. Well, since then, I've learned a better idea, but especially with newer vehicles, don't run out of gas is the best thing. Just don't, right? As a mechanic, I learned your fuel pump is in the bottom of the tank. It is cooled by being in the fuel. I'm just going to talk about Chevy trucks because this is what I know. So if you're running your last gallon constantly, that fuel pump is sticking out of the fuel and it's getting overheated, and that will shorten the life of it considerably. When I lived on Guam, because we had storms and we also had snakes, island power, like the electricity for the whole island, could get knocked out at any time, and it might be out for a few days or a week. Gas pumps are powered by electricity. So if you are out of gas and it happens when the power is off for a few days, you can't go buy gas. You can't pump the gas, right? So they taught us in the military, never go below half a tank. Just make it a habit, put $20 in your glove compartment or whatever it takes. Never go below half a tank. If you get to half a tank, refill your truck or your car. That way, when the power does go out, you've got half a tank left. That's pretty useful, actually. So I try now. I can't quite do half a tank because of how far I live. I use about 2/3 of a tank going home and back again, right? It's about 15 gallons on a 25-gallon tank is actually what it works out to. So I've still got about 100 miles range left when I refill. Okay. For me, that's practical because where I work at Sam's, we've got the cheapest gas in town. So fill up at work, go home, come back, sometime that next week, refill again. And I'm trying to get in the habit of refilling the first day I get back so that I've got gas instead of driving around and not having gas. All right. Plus, that way, if I get a chance to go home, I've got enough gas to go home instead of, I need $30 to go buy gas and I don't have it, so I can't go home. Okay. Yeah, that was going to be a short video. You get the idea, though. It's kind of like, it seems funny that you can give yourself a jump start, but you can't. It's something that, the old ones, those big battery starters, they were, clunky. They worked, but they were clunky. These new ones, I was really surprised the first time I actually used one, But when I started to realize what it was doing, it made more sense, because that lithium battery can put out a lot of amps, or amp hours, I guess, or watt hours, or however you want to look at it. But if you just look at, units of power, it can deliver a lot of units of power, which then can bring your starting battery up to a level that it can do its job, right? Whereas if you were doing a jump start with another vehicle, the other vehicle is running, it's putting out 14 volts, and you're basically starting your vehicle using the other vehicle's battery. You're not really recharging your battery. You are kind of, right? But this is kind of doing it the other way, is like, just let it recharge your battery, and then your battery can do the job of starting, because it's got bigger cables, right? These things, they don't have enough power to really start your V8 engine directly, but they do have enough power to get your battery up to the level where it will work. So, yay for that. What was the other thing? This last couple weeks, I've been shifting a little bit about some of my urban camping, especially breakfast, I think. I've ran into this a couple of times the last time I had to do this, and I'd kind of forgotten about it, but my little butane stove, the gas cylinder gets cold because it's like in the 30s in the morning. I had, down into the high 20s, low 30s overnight. So the stove will light, but when you relieve pressure from a pressurized container, the temperature drops, right? Like hairspray or whatever is cold when it comes out, or if you like a CO2 canister, if you pop it, it'll be frozen, kind of thing. It gets cold very quickly. If you dump the air out of your air compressor in a humid environment, it'll frost over that the bleed valve, even though it's got air in it, it'll stop and then it'll thaw and then it'll blow and then it'll get cold. Spray painting, same thing. You're spray painting something, the cold paint coming out, because it gets cold from pressure dropping, will actually condense the dew in the air, and you'll be blowing water vapor onto whatever you're painting. It's just how it works. If you ever wondered where their spots are coming from, that's what it is. Anyway, so my butane stove at near freezing temperature will burn, but not very well. I'll look at it, it'll be cranked all the way up, and then as it relieves the pressure, it gets cold. That flame will drop right down to nothing. And I'm sitting there trying to cook my oatmeal, and it's like it will not boil the water because it's so cold outside that the water in the pan is exposed to the air. It's like, I had a few days where it's just not going to happen. So what I've been doing lately is, I just go buy some bananas for breakfast. Yesterday I had a banana, a couple Cliff Bars, Pop-Tarts, and coffee. That was my breakfast. I'm like, okay. So that's about $2, something like that. Okay. Instead of trying to fight with the stove. All right. Once it warms up a little bit, then the stove would be fine. Yeah, go figure. But actually a Cliff Bar and a Snickers bar and a Pop-Tart, that lasted me until lunch yesterday. I was like, I was fine. So instead of messing around trying to cook my oatmeal in the morning, that's kind of what's happening. And then this morning I was looking, I got my empty cup, my thermos. I have been filling up my thermos at home. I have a great big 40 cup coffee maker. So before I come back to work, I will start the generator, or sometimes I've done it on solar. If I got a really good sunny day, I can do it on solar. Make a whole bunch of coffee, fill up my thermoses, and then for the next 3 or 4 days, I've got enough coffee in the thermos, right? So I don't have to make coffee, right? So this morning I was like coming out of the 7-Eleven, coming out of Planet Fitness where I took my shower. I looked over, there's a 7-Eleven right there. I'm like, well, what am I thinking? Let me just go buy a cup of coffee. So I took my cup in, filled it up. It was like $1. Okay, done, right? My ashtray is full of change, so I'm like, yeah, that'll be about a year's worth of coffee in there probably, so that's not a big deal. I'll just do it that way for a while. And I can still make coffee, but if I can't get the stove to run hot enough, going forward, what I'm looking at, I am going to come back, and this is something I had been thinking about for a while. I haven't talked very much lately about how the truck is wired for all my other stuff, probably because it's not finished yet. I do have 2 core batteries in the back that I'm going to trade in tomorrow as payday. I'm going to buy some more batteries, the same ones that I bought for home. I'm going to probably put 2 in the truck. I haven't committed to putting solar panels on the truck yet. I've been talking about it. I've talked to a few people in the comments about it. But what I'm thinking is, if I had 2 batteries in the truck, anytime I'm driving, I can be charging the batteries and then have them disengage from the front. But I don't want to have them hooked up directly because I've messed up some starting batteries that way before. The theory is 2 batteries together, if they're joined, if one battery is dead and one battery is fully charged, like say for instance your starting battery is charged, your house battery is dead. Like think of it like a motorhome. You'd have 2 batteries, one for everything else, one for starting the engine. So you have the engine starting battery and your house battery is the way we talk about that. Okay, so I could be like, I could have ran my laptop off of my house battery, ran it dead, and then you flip a switch. The solenoid I talked about is basically that can let a lot of power come through. Well, the alternator has its built-in charge controller, voltage regulator system. Some of that is getting signal from the ECM now, I think. So the ECM is looking at it as like, okay, our battery is low, put in more power, make the alternator give us more power. And I'm not going to get into that too much, but that automatically happens and everything's good. Well, if you got a dead battery, say if you got one full charge battery, one dead battery, equalize, and so the system will look at it. It's like, oh, okay, so if we got 12 volts and 10 volts, that equals about 11. So it'll be putting out 14, trying to bring them all up to 12 and a half when they're shut off, but it'll be putting out 14. Well, what'll end up happening is it'll overcharge your starting battery and mess it up, trying to get the house battery up to level. So you don't really want to do that. And it took me messing up 2 batteries to figure that out, and then I started doing research, and then that's not the best way. So in the camper project before, the white one that I built a couple of years back now, what I had there is I used a solar charge controller between the front and the back. That seemed to work. So then when I'm driving home, I drive for about 2 hours. It's taking 20 amps off of the alternator, basically. It goes through the charge controller. The charge controller doesn't overcharge the back battery. It just puts in as much as it can, which seemed to work. All right. And I already had it. I had a couple leftovers. So I was like, okay, try it and see. It seemed to work. So the problem is really I don't drive long enough to fully charge 2 dead batteries, especially during the day in town. That was the issue. Like now I'm idling just to make sure my battery is charged, and gas is relatively cheap, so I don't feel too bad about it. But normally I would, say for instance I sleep at the Walmart, I drive to the Planet Fitness to take a shower, use the restroom, shave, brush my teeth, eat my breakfast in the parking lot, wait an hour, drive to work, depending on my schedule. So it maybe is 5 minutes from Walmart to Planet Fitness and maybe 10 minutes from Planet Fitness to work. Okay, that's not enough for the alternator to fully charge the back battery, right? So the other idea was solar, right? I do have enough room for 3 solar panels on what I've built in the back. If I built a roof rack, I could probably put 4, and I'm talking about the Harbor Freight panels, on the roof of the truck. A couple, or one, I guess it was Joseph, was talking about putting solar panels on the hood of the truck. And at first I was like, no, that doesn't sound like a good idea, but then he mentioned flexible panels. This is in one of the comments. I'm like, okay, that actually could work. Regular panels are too heavy, but the flexible panels don't weigh nearly as much, and they could just conform to the shape of the hood. So that could work, it's a possibility. And it's a lot of unused space otherwise. The other issue I had was the glare. If those are shiny, you're going to have the sun bouncing off it in your face. So that's maybe something to think about. I don't know. The reason I haven't jumped into solar yet, at home I've got 4 Harbor Freight kits. That's 16 panels. That works pretty good. I've got enough power to recharge my 2 batteries that I have right now. I can run the microwave. I've ran the slow cooker all day off of that on a sunny day. Made beans and chili. I can run the coffee maker, and I can run my laptop. Okay. What I'm looking at is, could I run a microwave in the truck off of 2 batteries? If I have 2 batteries like the ones I have at home, yeah, I could totally nuke my cup of coffee in the morning instead of running the stove. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Is maybe I could phase out using propane and butane and just switch everything over to electric. So last payday I bought one of those little electric pitchers that can boil a liter of water, but that took it was over 1,000 watts, and it was 5 or 6 minutes, right, for the whole liter. Now I wouldn't need that much. I could use about 250 milliliters, so a quarter of a liter is enough for oatmeal, but the minimum in that pitcher is half a liter, so you'd end up making more water than you needed. It needs the sensor to work. Okay. Or just use the microwave, all right, at 1,000 watts. I also bought a little electric hot plate, and I want to do some testing with that. That also pulls about 1,000 watts, so I was thinking I could just put whatever water I needed into a pan, put the hot plate, hook it up to the inverter, run it off the battery. I tested that. That does work. But I don't have the batteries in the truck yet, so I'm kind of looking at that. The solar problem for me is if I only put 3 panels on the truck, yes, it'll be enough to charge my cell phone and probably my laptop, but I don't think I have enough power from that to be able to, for instance, run a microwave more than once or twice in a week, because it would just take it too long to recharge. That's the problem. So I'm kind of looking at that. The other idea was, could I just start the truck, have the 2 batteries joined, run the inverter off of that? If I only did it for a few minutes to run the microwave and then disengaged it again, that might be good enough. So that was something I wanted to test. So instead of leaving them hooked up the whole time you're driving, just leave it directly connected between the 2 so that you could run the microwave and then disengage it, and then hopefully you didn't run your main battery dead in the process. But I think with the truck running it would work. I've had a few people comment on that. You know, they're, in their experience, well, yeah, you're supposed to have the truck running when you run the inverter. That's if you're running the inverter off your main battery. And yeah, that makes sense. But if you're off-grid solar, you're not, you know, I was trying to explain that one time in a comment, and I don't think it made it through, but the guy was like, you know, inverters in your truck make sense, right? You can run your microwave when the truck is running. Okay, that's good. But, you know, so they're thinking, well, it should run at 14.5 volts, but off-grid, my batteries will be somewhere around 12 to 10 volts, depending how much load I have on them. Sunny day, no load, lots of solar coming in, yeah, they'll get up to 14 volts. And then the sun goes down and they drop down to 13 and then 12.5, you know, from there. But, you know, it's like, no, there's no truck idling when I'm at home. It's coming off the solar panels, so it's not the same. Anyway. Yeah, that was going to be the short video that everybody wanted, but I had anybody still watching, well, thanks, you know, but I had somebody, so my last video, I purposely kept it really short because I wanted to try a new format, and it seemed like nobody liked the short format. They wanted me to talk and ramble for a while, so I'm going to do a few short ones anyway, but now you know. Cool, all right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers, and especially to all the Patreon people that are helping keep things afloat. Thank you, and bye for now.